Next reading is financial reporting quality. Before we start doing questions, we need to get some basic idea of financial reporting quality right here. As you can see, the quality spectrum starts from the highest quality and ends at the lowest quality. So if your financial statements are GAAP compliant, if they are decision useful, if the reporting is sustainable, and it's showing adequate returns, it means the financial statements have the highest quality. Okay. Next step, financial statement GAAP compliant. It's decision useful for the use of the financial statement, but there is an issue of sustainability, consistency of returns. So it means the earning quality is low. One step lower, the financial statements are within the US GAAP compliance, mean there has been certain selection within the financial reporting regime. GAAP provides you some options to select. So there is a possibility of manipulation within the GAAP compliance. So within GAAP, yes, but you have made a choice that is biased, the one that is either aggressive or conservative, just to make your financial statement suit your needs. So quality has fallen further. One step down, your financial statements are within GAAP, but management has made some earnings management. It could be real earning management, where some operational decisions have been taken outside the financial accounting regime, some operational decisions that have manipulated your earnings. It could be real earning manipulation or accounting earning manipulation, where using some aggressive or conservative arrangements within the financial reporting regimes, you have tried to manage your earnings. So this would represent even a lower quality of your financial reporting. If your financial statements are non-compliant, the quality of your financial reporting is even lower, and if it involves some fictitious transactions, things are even worse. So as you can see, we have moved from the highest earning quality to the lowest one, thereby giving you a quality spectrum of financial reporting. Okay, now let's just discuss a little bit about aggressive and conservative financial reporting. When you say aggressive, what does aggressive mean? Aggressive means you deliberately opt for those accounting estimates and policies that result in higher net income now, more favorable balance sheet, overstated assets, understated liabilities right now. But in the future, net income will be lower. Balance sheet would show comparatively unfavorable circumstances. So aggressive financial reporting means better results now, worse results later. Conversely speaking, we have an opposite extreme to it called conservative financial reporting. So under the conservative approach, we might charge higher expenses now, like amortizing using double declining method, like charging warranty expenses in the early periods. Resultantly, your net income would be lower. Your balance sheet will show little somewhat unacceptable appearance, but in the future, your net income would be higher. Your balance sheet would show a better look. So these are the two extreme approaches. Aggressive, where you manage your earnings, you show higher returns in the early periods and lower returns in the later. Of course, they have to be reversed. And a conservative approach, where you charge more expenses, you adopt conservative policies that suppress your earnings. Your net income is lower now, but they will be higher in the future. And in between these two extremes, there is a situation called the neutral, where you do not opt for any of these two extremes. So when you say financial reporting quality, when you say the financial statements have high quality, it means they are useful for decision makers. They are useful for analysts in assessing the company's performance, in assessing company's prospects. But when you say the quality of the financial reporting is low, it means inaccurate information has been given, misleading information has been given, or probably incomplete information has been given. So that's the idea upon which the questions would be based. Moving on to question number 1. compared to a firm that appropriately expenses recurring maintenance cost. A firm that capitalizes these costs will report greater cash flow from. First of all, the firm that regularly expenses recurring maintenance cost means for such a firm cash flow from operations would be low, because when expenses charged as an operational cash flow, the cash flow from operations would be lower, and cash flow from investing activities would be comparatively higher if it isn't capitalized. But compare it with the firm that capitalizes these costs. If these costs are capitalized, your cash flow from investing activities would be lower for such a firm that capitalizes expenses, and your cash flow from operating activities would be higher. So a firm that capitalizes these costs will report a greater cash flow from operations, correct? Financing is unaffected. Investing cash flows would be lower, so that makes B to be the correct option. And as you can see, B it is. Next, a mechanism to discipline financial reporting quality for securities that trade in the United States, the companies that are listed in the United States, that is not typically imposed on securities issuers elsewhere. Is that? What's the question? A mechanism to discipline financial reporting quality for securities that trade in the United States, specific discipline applicable to those firms listed in the United States, and this discipline is not typically imposed on the security issuers elsewhere, as number 1, financial statement must be audited by independent party, independent chartered accountants or certified public accountants in the US, in Hong Kong, ACCAs in England. This is applicable across the world. Financial statements for listed companies, they are required to be audited. This is applicable everywhere. We are looking for something that is unique for the companies listed in the US stock exchanges. The firm must provide a signed statement by a person responsible for preparing the financial statement. This is the requirement almost everywhere, wherever the issuer publishes financial statements for the company that securities are listed. So this is applicable everywhere. B is applicable on all companies listed across the world. The option C, management must attest to the effectiveness of the firm's internal controls. This is specifically required under the Sarbanes-Oxley Act, Section 404 and Section 302. Sarbanes-Oxley Act was a result of numerous financial scandals that started in mid-2001 onwards to 2002. There was a series of scandals. So in order to restore the interest of investors in the United States corporate world, this law was enacted and promulgated. These two sections specifically in the Sarbanes-Oxley Act relate to the attestation of effectiveness of internal control. The management will attest that the internal control system is working and effective. If there has been any major change made, what's the change and what was the criteria used to assess the effectiveness of internal control. It's in detail and it is discussed in CPA regulations and those who study CMA Part 1, external financial reporting as well as internal controls. So that is something unique, mechanism to discipline financial reporting in the US, unique to the US companies listed there. That makes C to be the correct option. Next, mechanism that enforce discipline over financial reporting quality least likely include what? Mechanisms to enforce discipline. There has to be some control on the companies that prepare financial statement. Otherwise, I can include anything I want in my financial statement to deceive the users. So mechanisms that enforce discipline over the financial reporting quality least likely include what? Government security regulators. Yes, they are the enforcers. Securities and Exchange Commission in the US. They are the regulators. They are the one who enforce discipline over financial reporting. Counterparties to provide contracts, banks, bondholders, they are also the one who enforce discipline over the financial reporting. They are the enforcers. Private party to which company has had a contract, like banking institutions or financial institutions, leasing organizations, etc. So government security regulators are the enforcers. Counterparties to a private contract with the firm, they are the enforcers. They are the one who can dictate the terms to enforce discipline over the financial reporting. But accounting standard boards like IASB and FASB, IASB, International Accounting Standard Board, that issues IFRS and IASS, and FASB, that issues the accounting regulations, US GAAP within the US. These are the standard setting bodies. They do not have the enforcement rights. They are not the enforcers. Remember, Securities and Exchange Commission is the enforcer, and Public Company Accounting Oversight Board. These are the two enforcing entities, and of course banks, financial institutions. So accounting standard setting bodies, they do not have the enforcement rights normally. So that makes B to be the correct option, and B it is. Next, management is most likely to be motivated to produce low quality financial reports. Management would be motivated to produce low quality financial report. Why management would be motivated to do such a thing? What is low quality? Low quality means your information provided in the financial statement is inaccurate, information is misleading, information is incomplete. Why would management do that? Why would management be motivated to provide low quality information? Let us read the options and then convince ourselves. Manager's compensation is unrelated to firm's share price. If the compensation is unrelated to firm's share price, why would a manager manipulate? This is not the reason. Why would a manager manipulate? No, there's no incentive for manipulation. See, the firm is not required to abide by loan covenants. There is no restrictive clause in any loan covenant, so there is no pressure. So there is no need to mislead. So A and B will not be the incentives or the pressures or the motives to produce low quality financial information. Then, earnings are less than analysts expected. Earnings are less than what analysts expect. Analysts expect bad results. So in order to cheat the market or the Wall Street analyst, that can happen. Earnings are less than analyst expectations, so you may manipulate your earnings, compromise on the quality of financial reporting, to cheat, to mislead. So that makes B to be your correct option. Moving on, question number 5. Under which inventory cost flow assumption, LIFO, FIFO, weighted average, specific identification method, under which inventory cost flow assumption is a firm most likely to show an unusual increase in gross profit? Unusual increase in gross profit, the first condition, by sales in excess of current production or current purchase. When your sales is more than production, or when your sale is more than the quantity purchased, and you use LIFO, what will happen? The older LIFO layer, the items bought at the older rate, they will be charged to your CGS. Your CGS would be lowered. This lowered CGS will feed into higher gross profit and resultantly higher gross profit margin. So normally, conventionally, across the world, prices continue to rise across the world. That's the consistent pattern of items across the world. Consistent practice of increasing price of all the commodities, goods and services. So when the sale is more than production, sale is more than purchase, under LIFO, when the prices are increasing, the older, lower cost item through LIFO liquidation will be charged to CGS. Your CGS goes down. When your CGS goes down, your GP goes up, your gross profit goes up. So that makes LIFO P to be the correct option, and LIFO B it is. Next, a significant increase in days payable above historical levels is most likely associated with days payable. Normally, we used to take 60 days to pay our accounts payable. Now we have started delaying. We now pay after 90 days, after 100 days. A significant increase in days payable above historical level is most likely associated with what? Why would we do that? Why would we delay our payables? Low quality of cash flow statement. In order to just look our cash look better, we are delaying our payments. That will increase your average accounts payment period, and resultantly your cash flow apparently look good. Your cash flow from operations apparently look good, but this is manipulation. This is compromising on the quality of financial reporting. So it's a low quality of financial statement because it is being managed, deliberately stretching the payment period of your payables just to make your cash flow look good. It's the exact answer. Low quality of cash flow statement. An increase in net working capital. When your current liability increase because of stretching of your payables period, it will result in lower working capital, not increase. Wrong option. An unsustainable increase in reported earnings. Reported earnings will not affect directly your cash flows. Reported earning on accrual basis, unless it involves some cash collection from customers or cash sales, just increasing or earning accrual based income, it will not increase your cash flow. So that is not the right option. So that makes A to be the correct option, and A it is. Next, the quality of companies' reported earnings is low. Again, what is quality? When we say the word quality, it means the financial information given in your financial reports, it's useful for the users, it's useful for the analyst. For what? For assessing company's performance, for assessing company's prospects. That's what we mean by quality, word quality. So the quality of a company's reported earning is low when they are lower than the prior year period, lower than the prior year or higher than the prior period. That's not the criterion. They are not sustainable. Yes, they are not sustainable. Things are inconsistent. Earnings being managed. When they do not conform to these US GAAP, they are even at the lowest tail of the quality spectrum. Calling it low quality, I will call it negative quality because it's the low tail of your earnings spectrum. C is absolutely incorrect. So it must be the earnings are not sustainable. They are being managed. Sometimes the results are good, sometimes bad, sometimes very good, sometimes very bad. Results are inconsistent. They are not sustainable. They do not show consistency. That's what you mean by not being sustainable or consistent. That makes B to be your correct option, and B it is. Next, question number 8. With regard to goal of neutrality, we just discussed the idea of conservative and aggressiveness. Being aggressive and being conservative. Being aggressive means you report a higher net income now, you report a good balance sheet now, but in the future you are being aggressive in revenue recognition, understating your expenses, but things cannot be suppressed for long. They will spring back. Resultantly, the future net earnings would be lower, future balance sheet will look bad. This is called aggressive accounting. Conservative is other way around. You charge more expenses, you charge double declining balance of depreciation method and amortization, you charge your expenses on warranty claims, etc. Resultantly, your net incomes are lower now, your balance sheet doesn't look well now, but in the future, when you won't be charging more expenses in the future because you have been aggressive in the early periods, you have been conservative in the early periods, resultantly your net income would be higher in the later periods. Balance sheet will show a better picture. So with regard to goal of neutrality, so when you say neutrality, so you are neither being aggressive nor being conservative, you have taken the middle road. With regard to the goal of neutrality in the financial reporting, accounting standards related to research cost. In the US, research cost must be charged as an expense. Development cost must be charged as an expense in the period incurred, unless it's a software development. So research cost must be expensed now. Litigation cost, expected cost must be charged as an expense now. It's a conservative approach, charging expenses in the early periods. That's the conservative approach. So research cost being charged to income statement, litigation losses, it should be viewed as what? Biased toward aggressive. Aggressive shows higher net income in the early periods. Not being neutral, it's being biased towards conservative financial reporting. So that makes C to be the correct option. Charging higher expenses in the early periods, that's being biased towards conservative financial reporting. Next question. Again, which of the following is least likely one of the combinations of quality of financial reporting and quality of reported earnings along the spectrum of financial report quality. This is the spectrum. Again, your financial statements being GAAP compliant, your financial statements being decision useful, showing sustainable returns, means the financial statements have the highest quality. This combination gives you the highest quality. GAAP compliant, yes. Decision useful, yes. But they are not sustainable. Earning quality is low. Within the GAAP relevant range, either you can be aggressive or conservative, but you make biased choices. Either conservative, aggressive, quality lower. Within GAAP, but you are managing earnings either through manipulation in your operations or through fraudulent financial accounting. Real earning management or manipulation in your accounting records to show better than the actual results. Earning quality spectrum, you are at the tail now, lower quality. And when the financial statements do not comply with the US GAAP, or there are some fake transactions, they are outside the quality spectrum, having the lowest quality possible. So, which of the following is least likely one of the combinations of quality of financial reporting and quality of reported earnings? We just saw the full spectrum from the highest quality to the lowest quality. Okay, starting first with the option A. Reporting is not compliant. Yes, it can be. Reporting cannot be compliant, just in the lower tail, and includes numbers that are fictitious and fraudulent. It is one of the combinations given in this spectrum right here. Non-compliant, fictitious. It's one of the combinations. It's one of the valid combination. You might say it is of lowest quality, but still it's one of the combinations. Right? Reporting is compliant with the GAAP, but the amount of earnings is actively managed or smooth earning. Earning management, whether it's the real management or it's maybe accounting management. Fine. It is one of the combinations. But look at the option C. Reporting is not compliant with the US GAAP. Mind the word, reporting is not compliant with the US generally accepted accounting principle, although reported earnings are sustainable and adequate. This is an impossibility. When financial statements do not comply with the GAAP, the sustainability and adequacy, they cannot be determined. When the reporting is not compliant with the US GAAP, the sustainability and adequacy cannot be determined. This combination is not possible, and that's the reason C is the right answer. Moving on to the next question, number 10. Which of the following actions is least likely to increase earnings for the current period? Least likely. Mind the word, these are the question twisters. This is what we do. This is what they do in CIA, in CMA, in CPA, in CFA. If you are careful about the words, read between the lines, so you will see a pattern of consistency in all American qualifications. They all almost have the same temperament. If you're good at one, you will be very good at the other. Which of the following action is least likely to increase earnings for the current period? Selling more inventory than is purchased or produced. We just saw a little while earlier, when the prices are increasing, you sell more than what you produce or what you purchase. Resultantly, your older LIFO inventory at the lower cost will be liquidated, resulted in lower cost of goods sold. Hence, the profit would be higher. So in this case, the profit would be higher. We need to find the one that is least likely to increase the earning. This would increase your earning. Recognizing revenue before fulfilling the terms of sale. Channel stuffing. Just putting the material with your customers and booking it as a sale, even all the sales conditions haven't been met. Recognizing revenue before fulfilling the terms of sale. Deliberately pushing your revenue upwards. This would result in higher earnings. Decreasing the salvage value of the depreciable base. When the salvage value is decreased, resultantly the depreciable base goes up. When the depreciable base goes up, your depreciation expense goes up. When depreciation expense goes up, your net income goes down. So this is the one that will in fact reduce your net income rather increase. So that makes it to be the correct option, and C it is. Next. If a firm's financial reports are of low quality, when I say low quality, I mean the information is inaccurate, information is misleading, information is incomplete, analyst, user A or B, they will reach the wrong conclusions. They will make wrong decisions. So low quality means inaccurate, misleading, incomplete information. So if a firm's financial reports are of low quality, can users of the reports assess the quality of the firm's earnings? When the financial reports are of low quality, how can we say the quality of earning is high? Can users of the reports assess the quality? We can't assess. Financial statements are of low quality. Numbers given are inaccurate or misleading or incomplete. How can we assess the quality of the earnings? We can't. Since we cannot, so it can't be yes. You can cross out A and B. No, because low quality financial reports are not useful for assessing the quality of earnings. Your decisions based upon inaccurate, misleading, incomplete information are likely to be faulty, likely to be wrong. Right, that makes C to be the correct option. Option C was right. Okay, 12th. Which of the following accounting warning signs is most likely to indicate manipulation of reported earning cash flows? Which of these is a sign, a warning sign that something is being, earnings is being managed, something is being done, financial statement being manipulated? A, capitalizing purchase that a comparable firm typically expense. Instead of considering a purchase as a purchase, rather making it as an asset, it will result in lower cash flow from investing activities. Being capitalizing it means considering it as an investing outflow. Your investing cash flows will fall. Right? Since an operating cash flow has been switched into the investing cash flow, your operating cash flows will look good. It's a warning sign. So which of the following accounting warning signs is most likely to indicate manipulation of reported operating cash flows? Cash flows are being manipulated. Your purchases are being capitalized. Operating cash outflows are being diverted as being investing cash flows. Your operating cash flows will look good. Bankers, fund providers mostly look at the operating cash flows as a sign of financial health for the company. So this is clearly manipulation of your reported cash flows. Do we need to go further? Yes. Read every option. Convince yourself with every option that you have got the right answer. Moving on to option B, higher estimated salvage value than are typical in firm's industry. When salvage value is increased, disposal value, residual value, it will lower your depreciable base. When depreciable base goes down, you charge less depreciation, whichever method you're using. And when depreciation falls, which is a non-cash expense, which is added to your net income, your cash flow from operations fall. This is the way you have to read every option, dissect every word, convince yourself that you have selected the right option. C, more aggressive revenue recognition method than the comparable firms. Revenue recognition being aggressive doesn't mean cash comes in. Recognizing revenue doesn't mean that the cash flows have increased, because revenue is based upon accrual accounting. Accruing revenue does not automatically increase your cash flow from operations unless the cash has been collected from the customers or in the cash sales form. This is wrong as well. So the correct option is option A. It is. Next, fraud triangle. Which of the following requirements are most likely to create incentives for management to manipulate earnings? A fraud triangle is studied in CMA Part 2, Section F, Ethics. Fraud triangle, very important topic from CMA point of view, CMA Part 2. Fraud triangle gives you 3 characteristics of fraud. A fraud can occur when these 3 things exist simultaneously. Let me explain these things to you first. Opportunity, whenever you see the internal controls are weak, there is no check and balance, no one really looks. It means the weakness of system can be exploited. When an opportunity arises, har koi lootega. Whenever an opportunity comes, everyone will make benefit of it. That's called opportunity. Sometimes it is also called a weakness in internal control system. Internal control system. And that presents an opportunity for the perpetrators. Next, motivation. Whenever you commit a fraud, you will have some motivation, some incentive, higher bonuses, higher commission, promotion, or you may have a pressure. Maybe you have bad gambling habit and you are under financial constraints, so you may commit fraud to overcome your problems. So opportunity is the possibility of committing a fraud because internal control system is weak. Motivation, incentive and pressure, something that pushes you, something that prods you to commit some fraud. Azudos prodding that pushes you to commit something illegal, unethical. And third, you have justification of your wrong actions. Har koi kar raha hai, what if I do? Everyone is doing, what if I do wrong things? So when these three things are present simultaneously, opportunity of committing a fraud, you have a motivation or an incentive or a pressure to commit a fraud, and you have some justification of committing a fraud. Rationalization, everyone has a unique code of ethics, internal code of ethics that decides your actions, that helps you decide what is right and what is wrong. So if you have a rationalization of committing a fraud, if an opportunity presents itself in the company or in the situation, and you have some incentive and pressure, if these three things occur simultaneously, the possibility of occurrence of fraud would be the highest. I would like to spend some more time on this because this is the bottom line of situations where frauds can be committed. If opportunity and rationalization are present simultaneously, the possibility of occurrence of fraud is medium. If opportunity and motivation, they are both present, opportunity of occurring or possibility of occurring fraud is again medium. If motivation and rationalization, they are present simultaneously, medium. If just one of these is present, either just opportunity or just rationalization or just motivation, the possibility of occurrence of fraud is lowest or low. But when these three things are present simultaneously, you have a serious financial constraint and system of internal control is weak, and your mind tells you koi gal nahi, everything is fine. When you have this internal justification, your internal code of ethics convinces you whatever you're doing is fine, everyone is else doing, I can do the same thing. When these three things are present simultaneously, the possibility of occurrence of fraud would be the highest. Right. Now, that's the whole theory. It will help you to do many questions involving fraud triangle. Which of the following requirements are most likely to create incentive for management to manipulate earnings? Incentive. When I say incentive, it means motivation. When I say motivation, it means some pressure. So these three things simultaneously represent this part of your fraud triangle. Let's see. First, debt covenants. When you take loan from the bank, there are certain restrictive clauses in the loan contract that restricts your action. Those restrictive clauses are called debt covenants. Those restrictions are called debt covenants. And these debt covenants, these restrictions which you have to meet, they represent themselves as a pressure, as an incentive. Bank's loan agreement says your current ratio shouldn't fall below this. Now this becomes a pressure at the same time, an incentive. In order to keep your current ratio within this limit, you may manipulate your financial statement. This is incentive. This is pressure or motivator, right? So that makes sense that debt covenants could represent itself as a motive or pressure or incentive. What about disclosure regulations? What about audit requirements? All these are the part of your internal control system. They represent opportunity. They represent a mechanism to discipline your financial reporting. So in other words, it's a part of your internal control system that restricts the possibility of financial manipulation. So that makes A to be the correct option. A is the right answer. Next, if management is manipulating financial reporting to avoid breaching the interest coverage ratio. What is interest coverage ratio? Sometimes it's called the interest times interest earned, or sometimes interest coverage ratio. It is earning before interest and tax upon interest. So the management is manipulating financial reporting to avoid breaching the interest coverage ratio. bankers have set this limit that your earning coverage, interest coverage should not be less than 5. So I have to keep my interest coverage above 5 or above. So this is the interest coverage ratio covenant, restrictive clause in the loan agreement on the firm's debt. So what the management is most likely to do? Management will overstate earnings. When the earnings are overstated, the numerator increases. The increase in numerator resultantly pushes your earning coverage ratio up. This will definitely manipulate. Got the answer? Move on? No. Ask yourself, why not B? Why not C? That's the trick. Capital leases, when you capitalize an asset under lease, you will have to charge the interest element in the lease in your income statement. So charging interest in your income statement would increase the denominator. When the interest charge goes up, earning before interest and tax, let's say they have not been manipulated, increase in denominator will cause the earning coverage or interest coverage ratio to fall. Times interest earned or interest coverage ratio, the ratio will fall. Understating assets, yes, understating and overstating assets can affect your EBIT through depreciation, but understating assets, overstating assets, they do not directly impact your interest coverage ratio. Yes, through depreciation they can. Let us discuss now. Let's say what would be the impact upon the interest coverage through understating of assets. When the assets are understated, you have lower depreciable base. When the depreciable base is lower, resultantly your depreciation charge would be lower. When the depreciation charge would be lower, your earning before interest and tax would be high. When earning before interest and tax is high, you will have higher interest coverage. It's a long chain of activities. Directly understating and overstating assets will not directly affect the earning coverage unless we are given some further information that through assets understatement or overstatement, depreciation has been manipulated, and through depreciation we have manipulated EBIT. In other words, if I have to select between A and C, A is pointing me direct to the right answer, but for C I have to take twists and turns to read the right answer. So it's maybes and it's the exact answer. So that's why I go for the one which I can take on prima facie basis, just on the face of it. So that makes A to be the correct option. Aggressive accounting choices. When I say aggressive accounting, it means managing your earning in a way that your net incomes become higher now, but in the future they will be lowered. Means you deliberately delay some expenses. You deliberately recognize some revenues early. So your net incomes are good now, but in the future they will be lowered. Your balance sheet look good now, but in the future they will look bad. So aggressive accounting choices, let's say in which of these situations your net income goes up, your balance sheet looks good. So increasing valuation allowance. Valuation allowance is a contra asset that is charged against your deferred tax assets. You cannot overstate your assets. That's the principle called conservatism. Your assets must not be overstated. Your deferred tax asset, if you believe, cannot be utilized in the future against tax payables, you have to reduce it by a certain amount called valuation allowance. Increasing the valuation allowance as a contra to your deferred tax assets will result in lower deferred tax assets. Since an asset being lowered, it is not aggressive, it is conservative. Lowered assets, lowered incomes, it's a conservative accounting choice. Not the right answer. We are looking for the one that's aggressive. B, decreasing the estimated useful life of an asset. When the estimated useful life of the asset is decreased, you have to depreciate the depreciable base of the asset in a shorter period. Resultantly, depreciation charge goes up. When depreciation charge per year goes up, your net income goes down. When net income goes down, again, it's a conservative approach. Double declining method. Warranty liabilities charged earlier in the first period of sale. Research and development cost, whole of it expensed in the first year. All these are conservative. We are looking for the aggressive accounting choice. Classifying interest paid as an investing cash flow. When interest expense is being diverted as an investing activities, you are capitalizing your financing cost. Interest expense goes down. Resultantly, your net income goes up and your income statement looks good. This is aggressive approach. Aggressive accounting choice is C. And C it should be. Next, which of the following is one of the circumstances that is conducive, favorable to issuing low quality financial reports? Low quality financial reports, when I say low quality financial reports, means the numbers, the information is inaccurate, information is misleading, information is incomplete, hence the decision taken on the basis of the information could be wrong. So which of the following is one of the circumstances that is conducive to issuing low quality financial reports? First, there is a large range of acceptable accounting treatments. Large range of acceptable accounting treatments. You have been given the leverage to select any of the methods, any of the estimates that you think suitable. This is providing you an opportunity. This is providing an opportunity to manage your earnings, even though it's allowed by the US GAAP. So large acceptable accounting treatments, you have either this or this or this. So you will select the one that suits you. That would result in low sustainability. When the sustainability is lowered, the financial reporting quality is lowered. That's the right answer. Why not B and C? Balance sheet values are likely to violate debt covenants. This is valid as long as you have followed US GAAP, you have selected the allowed alternatives, benchmarks or alternative, whichever you think suitable. Just like in IAS 7 cash flow statement, the preferred method is direct, allowed alternative is indirect. So you have been given the option. So whichever method you select, you are following the US GAAP. You have not violated the accounting conventions or accounting standards or SEC regulations. So within that, even financial statements quality has been lowered, but you haven't violated the GAAP requirements or the SEC regulation. Look at the balance sheet values are likely to violate debt covenants. If you do this, it's a violation. It's a fraud. You can't play. This is manipulation. This could result in some penal action. Not recommended. Earnings per share are highly variable from year to year. Yes, they can be, but I just can't manipulate my EPS. IAS 33, I can't. Manipulation of EPS through financial manipulation, through fraudulent numbers could result in a serious consequence. It's a fraud. Yes, this is allowed within the allowable range, but this is of course not recommended. A. Next. An IFRS reporting firm includes in its financial statements a measure that is not defined under IFRS, some treatment that is not defined under IFRS. It doesn't mean it's illegal. It doesn't mean it's earning manipulation. The firm should do what? The firm is least likely required to do what? Least likely. Mind the word least likely. Least likely. Show this measure for all the periods presented. It's not something that's required some prior period adjustments, some retrospective arrangements, like when we change the valuation from LIFO to FIFO, that requires retrospective treatments. Financial statements for the prior year presented must be restated. There is no such requirement. Show the measure all prior period adjustments must be, prior period financial information must be adjusted. There is no such requirement. What you should do, at least some treatment, some item that is not defined under the IFRS, you need to define and explain the relevance of this measure. If it's a departure from IFRS, you need to reconcile this measure with the most comparable IFRS measure. That's fine, that is required, but this that you need to revise your prior financial numbers, that's not acceptable. That doesn't make it look good. That doesn't look correct. So that's why A is the right answer. 18. Which of the following is most accurately described as a characteristic of firm's quality of earning? Quality of earning, mind the word. Earning quality is consistency. Pakki government ki naukri when you get, or fixed income securities, highly valued because the returns are consistent, the returns are predictable, And predictability, consistency is valued in the financial market, the stock market. Consistency of return, sustainability of returns. Those companies whose stocks are called blue chip stocks, why are they blue chip? Why are they highly valued? Because their returns are consistent. Their dividend payouts are consistent. Consistency is regarded highly in the stock market, in the financial world. Lower standard deviation of returns are highly valued. It means lower risk. So, which of the following is most accurately described as a characteristic of firms' quality of earnings? Sustainability, relevance for the users of financial statements, completeness. All these elements are the characteristics of financial reporting. They are the characteristics of financial reporting, not the characteristic of quality of earnings. Sustainability is earning quality. Consistency of return is called sustainability. A. Next. In which of the following situations is management most likely to make conservative choices? Conservative choices means charging expenses now, lowering incomes now to make your net incomes lower now but higher in the future. Balance sheet looks okay now but better in the future. This is what you mean by conservative. Being conservative in your charging double declining depreciation, charging more expenses now, being little conservative in revenue recognition. So in which of the following situation is management most likely to make conservative choices and estimate that reduce the quality of earning? Of course, when you are being conservative or aggressive, quality of financial reporting is reduced. So which of these would most likely make conservative choices and estimate that reduce the quality of financial reporting? First, earnings for a period will be higher than the analyst expectations. Analysts expect, let's say, $10 million earning this time, but you think the earning will be 15 million. So in order to meet sometimes the analyst expectation, the stock market expectation of your performance, it becomes a benchmark for you. Market expectations become your benchmark. It becomes your incentive. It becomes your motivation. It becomes your pressure. Just in order to remain close to the market expectations, you manipulate your earnings. Even you are earning 15 million, just to remain close to the analyst expectations, you will become more conservative. Net income would be depressed to make look at closer to the analyst expectations. So under this situation, you might go for a conservative choice so as to bring your numbers close to the analyst expectation. Right, so that's the point. Next, why not B? Management's compensation is closely tied to near-term performance of the firm's stock. Management compensation is tied to near-term performance. In this case, you will try to show as high earning as possible. Share price goes up, your earning goes up. In this way, in B, you will be more aggressive, not conservative. We are looking for a conservative choice. The firm must meet accounting benchmarks to comply with the debt covenants. To meet the debt covenants, here you will be again aggressive. Again aggressive to meet the benchmarks or any debt restrictions. But here you will try to show lower than the result that you're expecting, just to keep your numbers close to the analyst expectations. So that's why A is the right answer. If a firm's management wants to use its discretion, Sawabdeed, you have the decision to make to select any accounting choices. It could be either aggressive or conservative. So if a firm's management wants to use its discretion over accounting choices to increase operating income in the next period, they are most likely to. So we are being aggressive now. So in which of these options we are aggressive? A. Increase the assumed residual value of the plant and equipment. When the residual value, called the scrap value or the salvage value, if it is increased, your depreciable base that would be split over the estimated useful life, it would be lowered. When the depreciable base is lowered, your depreciation expense would be lowered. When depreciation expense is lowered, your net income goes up. And when net income goes up, that's what you call the aggressive accounting choice. We got A. Should we go to B and C? Yes, you should. You must. Write up plant and equipment from depreciated cost to its fair value, even though, remember, under the US GAAP, fair value method for long-lived assets is not allowed. Definitely this question is within the IFRS context. Assets can be revalued to its fair market price, fair value. That is allowed in IFRS, not in the US GAAP. So if you do that under the IFRS, asset has been revalued to its fair value, fair market value. Resultantly now the new book value is higher. Higher book value will result in more depreciable base, resultantly more depreciation, hence the net income will fall. You won't do that. That's conservative measure. Decrease the assumed useful life of the plant and equipment. Assumed useful life, it is reduced. If the estimated life goes down, you have less years to spread the depreciable base. In other words, your depreciation charge each year goes up. When depreciation expense goes up, your net income falls. It's again aggressive. It's again a conservative, it's conservative. So we are looking for the one that's aggressive, so that's A. A it is. Again, a fraud triangle question, which of the following is least likely to be a motivator or motivation for managers to issue financial reporting or financial reports of low quality. We just saw the fraud triangle a little while earlier, a very important topic, regularly tested in CMA Part 2. Opportunity, rationalization, motivation, or incentive, or pressure. So which of the following is least likely to be a motivator in these following options? Least likely to be a motivator. Enhancements of manager's career, incentive, motivator. Keeping earnings above the same period in the prior year, motivator or incentive or pressure. Accounting controls are weak within the company. That's the internal control system. That's the characteristic in fraud triangle we call opportunity. The weaker system of internal controls in an organization is what you call the opportunity. Remember, if you ask me, which of these three characteristics is controllable by the management, I would say only opportunity. This is what that management can control by instituting a strong, robust system of internal controls, a stringent system that keeps check and balance. This is the feature or characteristic in fraud triangle that can be controlled, that can be managed. But rationalization is inside a person's head. What you think right and wrong is in your head. I don't know that. I can't codify that. So this is something that is not controllable. Motivation, incentive, and pressure, what you're facing in your personal life, your gambling habit, your drinking habit, I don't know. So these two things are not controllable. At least this opportunity can be controlled by instituting a good system of internal control. So anyways, this is the one that's opportunity. A and C, they represent motivation or the incentive. Next, Samantha Cameron, CFA, she is analyzing the financial reporting quality of Red Networks. Cameron examines how the company is responding to strict debt covenants, restrictive clauses in your debt agreements, how the company is managing these debt covenants, and investigates executive holdings of stock and options in the firm, which are believed to be quite high. Some of your executives hold high holdings in the companies in shares and options. So any changes in earnings will seriously affect the valuation of the holding. Of course, there is a financial incentive for the senior management. So there is a financial incentive for the senior executives because they have high holdings of options and stocks. So which of the elements of fraud triangle she is looking for? Which condition, which characteristic of the fraud triangle that may lead to low quality of financial reporting in Cameron investigation? Rationalization, justification, we don't see in the given scenario. Opportunity, a weaker system of internal control, weaker system in the investment environment, we don't see that. What we see is motivation, because there are certain debt covenants, restrictive clauses in the debt agreements, some executives who hold sizable holdings in the company. So these represents motivation for the management to manipulate financial numbers. Motivations, incentives, pressure, that makes B to be the correct option. Aggressive accounting, when we say aggressive, means higher net income now, lower net income in the future. By just delaying your expenses or prematurely recognizing revenue through channel stuffing, and there's so many ways. Aggressive accounting choices by management are most likely to do what? Let us read these options one by one. When the company resorts to aggressive accounting choices, management are most likely to report sustainability. No, Mafi sustainability. There is no consistency of earning. Rather, what you see in aggressive accounting, what you see is this. Higher earnings now, lower earnings in the future. What do you see in conservative accounting? Quite the opposite. You see this. Lower earnings now, higher in the future. So both of these, aggressive and conservative approaches, they do not result in sustainable earnings. This is the wrong option. Comply with the generally accepted accounting principles. Yes, following US GAAP to some extent makes your financial statements, but within the relevant range. You have a certain range to commit, and you will select the one that will either push you towards aggressive approach or towards the conservative. I'll explain this option. Let's see first. Produce decision useful financial reporting. When you use aggressive reporting, means the results do not have consistency. They do not correlate. There is volatility in your returns, and that is viewed negatively. Now discuss B again. Comply with the generally accepted accounting principles. US GAAP allows you the range of options to select from. Right? So when you are given the selection, the leverage, you can either be aggressive or conservative. Right? Either aggressive or conservative. And when you do, it means your financial reporting quality has been lowered. Here, financial reporting quality is higher. Here, financial reporting quality is higher. But when you have been given the option to select within the GAAP mandated selections of estimates and possible treatments, then either you will be aggressive or conservative, and by doing that, the quality is lowered. That makes B to be your correct option, and B it is. Next, question number 24. A spectrum for assessing financial reporting quality should consider what? Both quality of financial reports and quality of earnings? Yes. Need to look no further. We need to consider both quality of financial reporting and quality of earning, not just financial reports only and not just earning only, both. That makes A to be the correct option. Next, conditions that may cause firms to issue low quality financial reports are best described as unstable organizational structure and deficient internal control. This is a condition or a characteristic we call opportunity. Inappropriate ethical standards, opportunity, and failing to correct non-reportable conditions. Again, this is an opportunity, an organizational condition existing that is welcoming frauds, financial statement frauds. So these are the characteristics we called opportunity. But when opportunity exists, weakness of internal controls, motivation and justification for wrong action regarding financial reporting, when these three characteristics are present simultaneously, the probability of incidence of financial reporting fraud is highest. Hence, the low quality financial reports will be more probable to be issued. So that makes C to be the correct option. On a spectrum for assessing financial reporting quality, which of the following represents the highest quality? Reporting is not compliant with GAAP, but the numbers presented reflect company's actual activities. Not compliant accounting is right here. A is here, having low quality. B, reporting is compliant with GAAP, but reporting choices and estimates are biased. So it means we are right here within GAAP, but biased choices. So B is at this point in the quality spectrum. C, reporting is compliant with GAAP and decisions useful, but earnings are not sustainable. C, here we go. GAAP based, decision useful, but not sustainable. So it means that C has the highest quality amongst all. So that makes C to be the correct option. Joe Carter, CFA, believes Triangle Equipment, a maker of large specialized industrial equipment, has overstated salvage value of its equipment. When the salvage value is overstated, it will result in lower depreciation, and the low depreciation means your net income would be overstated, and at the same time your assets on the balance sheet would be overstated too. So overstated liabilities, no. Understated earnings, no. Earnings are overstated. Overstated earnings, yes. That makes C to be the correct option. With regard to firms' financial reporting quality, an analyst should most likely interpret as a warning sign a focus by management on an increase in firms' cash flow from operations. Increase in operating cash flows normally is not viewed as a warning sign. Assets turnover ratios is good. More activity means good for the business. So it is not viewed as a warning sign. But increased focus on performer earning, budgeted earnings, it might indicate that the firm might involve in aggressive accounting to overstate profits. It's a warning sign. B is a warning sign.